So if you're in the world of AI, you've definitely heard the term MLOps thrown around. But what does it actually mean? Well, today we're going to peel back the layers and see how MLOps is the crucial ingredient that takes a machine learning experiment and turns it into a real working solution out in the world.
To really get what MLOps is all about, we have to start with a huge misconception in machine learning. Honestly, it's a trap that a lot of people fall into when they're first starting out.
And this quote, man, it just hits the nail on the head. See, a data scientist can cook up this incredible, super accurate model in something like a Jupyter notebook. Think of it as their digital laboratory. But here's the catch. A model that only works in the lab isn't actually solving a real problem for anyone. It's just potential.
What we're really after, the actual solution, is a system that's live, that's out in the wild, and is delivering value day in and day out. You know, it's the difference between having a perfect blueprint for an engine and having a car that's actually out there, driving on the highway. So, you might be thinking, okay, what's the big deal? Why can't we just take that amazing model from the lab and, flip a switch? Well, it's because the real world is infinitely more messy than a nice, clean data set.
Just think about it for a second. For a bank trying to detect fraud, the bad guys are changing their tactics every single day. So a model you trained last month, it's already becoming obsolete. That's a classic case of what we call data drift. Or think about a university. New student data comes in every single semester. And in healthcare, regulations and best practices are always evolving. A model that can't adapt to these changes isn't just going to be wrong, it's going to fail. And probably fail fast.
And that, my friends, is exactly where MLOps steps in. It is the entire discipline designed from the ground up to handle this messy, ever-changing reality.
The cool thing is, MLOps didn't just appear out of nowhere. It actually grew out of DevOps, which is the gold standard for building reliable software. So, as you can see here, MLOps takes that proven DevOps pipeline and adds two game-changing ingredients for machine learning. It starts treating data with the same seriousness as code, and this is the big one. It adds a retrain loop to make sure models stay fresh and accurate.
So, if you're going to remember one thing, it's this simple formula. MLOps is basically DevOps, but supercharged for the unique challenges of machine learning. It's all about managing not just the code, but the data and the models with total discipline.
So, what does this actually look like in practice? Well, it's definitely not a one-and-done kind of thing. MLOps creates a living, breathing, continuous cycle for every single machine learning model.
I like to think of it like a movie in two parts. Act 1, over on the left, that's the experimental phase. It's like a tournament where you train a bunch of different models and have them compete to see which one is the absolute best. Then you have Act 2 on the right. That's when you take your champion model and put it into production, where it starts doing its real job, making predictions on new data.
Let's dig into that first part a little more. It all kicks off with bringing in the data and getting it all cleaned up and ready. But then comes the most important step. You don't just train one model, no way. You train a whole bunch of them, and you evaluate them against each other, looking at all the key metrics until you find that one true champion that's ready for the big leagues.
All right, now for the really cool part. Let's see what this looks like when all the pieces are hooked together in a real, live MLOps system. This is where it all comes to life.
Okay, I know this diagram looks a little intimidating at first, but don't worry about the details. Just think of it as a map of a factory. Over on the left, you have the raw materials coming in. In the middle, you have the assembly line. And over on the right, the finished product rolls out to the customers.
So let's look at those raw materials. This system is pulling in all sorts of data, all the time and at different speeds. You might have weekly shipment data pouring into a data lake. You've got static files like a list of company holidays, and you could even have live weather data streaming in every couple of hours.
Now the central section, this is the engine room of our factory. It's all about automation. These pipelines are the workhorses. You might have a training pipeline that automatically runs every week to build a new, fresh model with the latest data. At the same time, a scoring pipeline could be running every single day to generate new predictions. And the key is, this whole process is automated and constantly being monitored.
And finally, the whole point of this factory is the finished product. These predictions don't just sit in a database somewhere. No, they get delivered right to the people and the systems that need them. They could be powering a feature in a web app, giving crucial insights to a sales team, or even triggering other automated actions. This is where the real value gets created.
So let's zoom out for a second. Why go through all this trouble? Why build this complex automated factory? What's the big picture here?
This quote right here just captures the entire philosophy perfectly. The goal isn't just to build a system that's intelligent once, it's to build a system that stays intelligent. It's about creating something that adapts, that keeps learning, and that you can actually depend on for the long haul.
I mean, just look at the difference here. It is night and day. Without MLOps, you have a static model. And as the world changes, its accuracy just decays over time. Pretty soon, nobody trusts its predictions anymore. But with MLOps, you have an adaptive model that's constantly learning. Its accuracy stays high, and because the system just keeps working, people build trust in it.
Really, when it all boils down to it, MLOps is the bridge that takes you from a one-time clever experiment to a truly intelligent system that your entire organization can rely on.
And that leaves us with a pretty fascinating thought to chew on. As more and more of our world comes to depend on these learning models, the systems we build to automatically teach them and retrain them when things change, well, that MLOps infrastructure becomes one of the most important things we can possibly build.